If you are drawn to the imagery in the thumbnail of this video, there is a good chance that you have the flower style route. Flower is one of the 8 style routes in my system, where I've identified 8 underlying style types, which lay at the foundation of all personal style, and by narrowing down to 3, you can create a unique and cohesive vision of your personal style. The idea of finding your style routes is to align your personal style and the clothing you wear on your body with the person you want to be represented as. It's really rather literary. It's a form of storytelling. Who are you? Who is your character, essentially, that you are presenting to the world through your clothing? The flower style route is one of the most stereotypically feminine, very delicate, very intricate style routes. It is very sweet, innocent. And in terms of the result, you might draw parallels between the ingenue and angelic essences. My name is Ellie-Jean. I'm a style consultant, and on this channel, we find our style by finding ourselves. Originally, the idea of style routes came from this idea that all style is kind of inspired by nature and the natural world. So in nature, the flower style route looks like blossoms in spring, bumblebees landing on a newly bloomed flower, a gentle lake, baby bunny rabbits, or a sparrow in her nest. Very delicate imagery. Someone who had flower would likely in her personality be considered sweet, quite innocent, quite charming, quite gentle. She would have elements of gracefulness, and none of this is physical, by the way. None of it is connected to your physical features. It's just all about who you are underneath. They might enjoy activities like picking daisies, or reading a poetry book, or painting a watercolor. All of these would feel very romantic ideas to someone who had the flower style route, rather than like cringy or a waste of time. They might enjoy wandering around vintage or antique stores, having a picnic by the Eiffel Tower. I find it quite helpful to look at imagery of the style routes outside of fashion. So some images that come to mind for flower include like vintage china plates, vintage artwork like Cicely Mary Barker's Flower Fairies comes to mind, eating pastries in a French town, quaint little cottages with roses around the front door. And some keywords, I'm gonna look here because I don't think I can memorize these. Some keywords for the flower style route include quaint, delicate, intricate, sweet, cute, whimsical, graceful, angelic, magical, elegant, innocent, and gentle. If you resonate with these words as part of who you are, how you want to be seen, how you want your clothes to represent you, and if you like looking at things with these characteristics, there's a good chance you have the flower style route. If you would like to learn more about the style routes, I would highly recommend you pre-order my book, How to Dress Your Best, which is coming out in September. In the first section of the book, I deep dive each of the style routes. There are various quizzes to help you find yours, worksheets, exercises. There are deep dives into each one, how to combine them, how to dress. So there are also beautiful images. I poured my heart and soul into this, and I would just absolutely love it if you had a look, see if it's something you might be interested in pre-ordering. If there is any chance you can pre-order rather than waiting to September, that would be really amazing, because the more pre-orders we get, the more likely it is that I'm actually going to see this in real stores, physical walk-in stores, which would be an absolute dream. There's also a higher chance of it getting to #1 on the Amazon bestseller for fashion and beauty. We got to #2 in the first week of pre-orders. I would love it if on release day we could get to #1. That would be absolutely insane. So if you're enjoying this video, please go and give it a look. I'd be very grateful. So I'm now going to break down each of the elements that goes into the flower style routes. This is by no means a comprehensive list. These are just some kind of core ideas, things that came to mind when I was making this video, and it's by no means the entire scope of the flower style route, but it should give you an idea of the kinds of things you could look out for. So within patterns, you might look at florals, leaves, polka dots, sparkle, embroidery, gingham, and fruit patterns. Within textures, you might look at lace, chiffon, silk, cotton, or linen, very light, airy fabrics. For adornment, so that's things you might, basically 3D elements in your outfits or in your clothing. That might include ruffles and frills, bows, buttons, florals, so 3D flowers, or potentially feathers. Silhouettes, I like to look at this as princess silhouettes or like little girl silhouettes, I think are quite good examples. So things like puff sleeves, bardo necklines, flared skirts, potentially corseted waists, depending on the context. That can lean a little fire, but potentially corsets. And then little girl silhouettes like Peter Pan collars, kind of dungaree dresses, little pleated skirts, things like that. For accessories, things like straw hats, small delicate bags, anything miniature, pearls, espadrilles, Mary Janes, ballet flats. And for colours, we're thinking soft, gentle colours. So blues, pinks, peaches, butter yellow, lilac, soft grass or apple greens, mermaid colours, iridescence as well. If these colours don't suit you, feel free to ignore colour entirely and focus on details and silhouettes, and that can still create an amazing effect. Or you can find your own version. Like if you were a winter, you wouldn't wear a soft muted pink, but you might wear a really frosty pink or even a fuchsia pink, and it would still have the same effect because it's that colour in relation to you and your features. And that applies to any of this. So if, for example, puff sleeves don't suit you, feel free to ignore that recommendation and try different recommendations like the flared skirts, which is much more likely to suit you if puff sleeves don't suit you. Feel free to pick and choose to narrow down until you find things that work for you and your personality. Some aesthetics and eras that you might look to for inspiration. Now, this is one of the core reasons I started the Style Route system, so that instead of trying to dress for one aesthetic and feeling really pinned down with that, you see that there are these underlying routes to various aesthetics, and you can try different ones and still have really consistent style. And I feel this works even better than dressing for an aesthetic, which can actually contain multiple style routes and find that some outfits in that aesthetic feel like you and some don't. And I feel like this gives quite a good explanation as to why. But some aesthetics where flower does tend to be at the center, and I'm also including like historical eras of aesthetics. So cottagecore, princess, vintage or old Hollywood, so kind of 1950s, very early 1960s, kind of the 50s revival in the 1980s, Regency era, Victorian to an extent, any doll aesthetics, coquette, although this can lean very, very fire, light academia, fairy or angel core, and balletcore or pink Pilates. So I have some outfit examples to go through with you. The first one is from Sabina Sokol, I think I'm saying that right. Sokol, I think she is French. This look is a flower fire mushroom outfit, or that's how I've got it categorized in my Pinterest board. You could wear it potentially if you have different style routes, but that's kind of the most obvious thing I see here. But if we look at the flower elements, you can see that it has a tiny strawberry print, so it's very sweet, very whimsical, without being like overpowering. It has a little bit of a bow on the bust, which is very cute. And she's wearing very delicate pendant necklaces. They're not very overwhelming, they're very kind of modest. That round shape is quite feminine, quite sweet. And also the silhouette of the dress leans a little bit more sexy, leans a little bit fire, but ultimately it still is vintage inspired, so there are elements of flower there. Outfit 2 is from Paolo Cosentino. This is a moon, sun and flower outfit, and I would say flower is very much the last route here, but it comes through in these cigarette pants with the buttons, which are very vintage inspired, and also you could potentially argue the silhouette at the top as well, but it's a bit of a reach. And also her hair is very delicate. It's got this little fringe, it's got these curls. I would say this outfit also has influences of fire. You could definitely wear this if you were fire as well, but that's the board that I placed it in because of these really cute cigarette pants. And outfit 3 is from Olive Clothing. I think this brand does an amazing job of marketing themselves through images. I have no idea what the clothes are like. I've never tried them. Olive Clothing, if you see this, please give me some. I'd love to try them. I think your pictures you put out are absolutely beautiful. Anyway, this outfit is flower, stone and earth, and the flower elements include the dungarees. Remember what I said about little girls? So it's kind of got that little girl silhouette. It's very youthful, very girlish. That colour is also a soft peach, so even though it's not pink, it's still got that sweet, airy feel. It's got these little pearl earrings, so pearls like we mentioned, and also they're very delicate, very sweet. And I also feel that the hair is quite flower because it's got that little bit of a curl in it. So you can see that flower can come in all different kinds of ways. Some characters and celebrities with these routes. Let's first look at Elle Woods in Legally Blonde. She has flower, fire and sun style routes. And if we look at this outfit, we've got pops of pink, these soft pastel colors, which is very flower. I do feel with flower, color can do a lot of the work. Even going slightly out of your season to emphasize that color, I feel will help to create the girlish effect. But Reese is a light summer, so these colors work quite nicely on her. She also has tiny little gemstones on her top, which are quite flower as well. There's also elements of sun and fire here, so you've got lots of colors, which is very sun. She's got pattern mixing, which is sun. Those gemstones also have that kind of, you could call it a certain tackiness. It's like, just have fun. Like, it's just fun. It's silly. I feel like silly is quite a good word that I love in the sun route. And with fire here, fire is a little bit more subtle here. This is a casual outfit, but I would say that little bit of a draping in the neckline, the clingy fabrics, and I want to say that's like an animal print on the belt, or it's like sequins. Either way, that gives a touch of fire as well. So Donna in Mamma Mia has flower, stone and mushroom. She has this girly underpinning to her style, and I wanted to include Donna because I felt like it was important to have someone who was older to show that you don't just have to be a young woman to have the flower style route. It's just not the case. There are so many women who love delicate, intricate, sweet things. Not that Donna is like old here by any means, but she's not like a 20-year-old woman. You know, she's a mother of a 20-year-old girl in this film. So the flower elements in this film, for example, when she's wearing her dungarees, she wears this cute little blouse underneath with little puff sleeves and a little bit of ruching. Dungarees in themselves, as we've already discussed, can have a slightly flower element, although they definitely lean very stone. But yeah, that little blouse underneath adds that femininity into what is otherwise quite a practical outfit. So it shows that that's really important to her. And she has this really sweet, caring nature. It's what it reads to us as viewers. I feel like style routes is a good way to explain storytelling in movies and how they tell you about a character without them actually having to tell you. Other flower elements in this film, in a dress she wears to Sophie's wedding, she has a pink shawl. That dress also has a very kind of bohemian but delicate floral print to it, and also the colours she wears are very soft and gentle. The last person I'm going to talk about is Catherine, Princess of Wales. She has flower, mountain and sun style roots. Now what I will say is obviously Kate's style is very influenced by how she has to look, so who knows how she would actually dress outside of being a royal, but we have to go with the outfits that we have. So the flower is, she often incorporates a lot of vintage styles into her looks, whether that be delicate floral patterns or like the coat dresses that we often see her in, her beautiful midi skirts. All of that is very flower, and often the flower is just her hair being very soft and gentle and rounded. Hopefully you can tell that my hair is very inspired by Kate Middleton. I love her hair. I'm a big Princess Catherine fan. I love her clothes so much. Ever since I was like 15, I've been pinning Kate's wardrobe to my Pinterest. I just love everything she wears. But even in this coat, which is very mountain, it's very structured, and you can't even see a lot of sun here particularly. There is a little bit, but this is flower because you have those delicate rounded buttons, you have the touch of velvet which softens that whole look, and it's also a coat dress, so it has that skirt element, and it also has quite a cute little collar. So even though this leans further away from flower in her outfits, it's still there and it's still present. So if you were to mix flower with opposite features, so let's say you had really sharp structured facial features and you have like a long sharp straight body, and so a lot of these recommendations don't necessarily work for you upon first look. First thing I would recommend, think about color. Color is an easy way to create this kind of effect, but also I remember that 1 or 2 touches can make a huge difference in creating the flower route in your outfits. Something as simple as a floral pattern, very subtle, will be enough to convey that. You can still dress in your structured lines, you can still dress with like high necklines, blazers, midi, like maxi skirts, or you know, sharper skirts in a silhouette, and then keep the details very, very sweet and delicate. So by details, that could mean fabrics, patterns, anything that is not the silhouette. Or if you really wanted to wear some of the silhouettes, let's say you really, really wanted to wear a puff sleeve, wear that little puff sleeve which goes against you, but keep the rest of your lines right. So keep a more structured fabric in the rest of the dress, a high neckline, a straight skirt with pointed toe shoes, pointed toe like kind of stilettos or flats, and let that be the one statement, and that would be enough to get that element of your personality across. You absolutely do not have to do all of this at once. You can take 1 or 2 things in an outfit and it can create a big, big effect, especially as this is a style route that I feel is not particularly trendy right now. And like 10 years ago during like the twee revival, I feel like flower is not particularly in the mainstream. A lot of people see it as like grandma-ish or old-fashioned or dated, and that doesn't have to be the case, because like I say, just 1 or 2 details in that environment, in that context, will be enough to get it across. I feel like it is a little bit more popular in kind of internet cultures of people who really love like certain aesthetics, but I feel like in the real world it's much more rare to see. As you can see, I have the flower style route. I feel very passionate about this route actually. I would say it's the one I most strongly connect with. So a lot of my wardrobe has these elements, and I would say that it represents my personality very well. But even I, as someone who has a lot of classic influences in my features, sometimes I have to pull back on the flower because suddenly I feel silly And if that's the case for you, if you really want to dress like this but you feel silly, just pare it down. Just take one element away and replace it with another one of your style roots, for instance, or something that works for your body type, and just have a few little elements, and it will probably be enough to get that feeling without feeling silly or costumey, which I think a lot of people fear with this particular style route. If you've enjoyed this video, firstly, absolutely please consider pre-ordering my book. I would greatly appreciate it. But I also have a Substack, which is a newsletter that I create every single week. And we also have Zoom calls where we do workshops, and we've started doing TV clubs. So recently we talked about Bridgerton, and we also talk about different fashion books, read fashion books together and do book clubs. So it's a really amazing community. There's also people there who are helping each other find their essences, their body matrix type, their style roots. So it's so much fun. And if you love my channel, you should go there. There is a free option and there is a paid option which you can do to support my videos, which is by no means an obligation, but obviously I would be very grateful if you considered that. If not, subscribe for free. The community and newsletter is still there. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.